Um, this is me, Axel. Uh, just gonna show y'all how to draw in Photoshop. Not realistically, just your own kind of art style or whatever. So what I have here, I have this random like steel texture or whatever, and I have the same texture in the background. It's just blurred and colored because that's gonna be the blurred background. And then here's a quick sketch of the thing I'm gonna draw. It's gonna be a person. So let's get started. What you'd want to do is probably duplicate and change the color. Because it's gonna be a person, so you probably want them like a human color. Alright, then you just combine those. Then you have that color and the steel texture. I'm gonna do it one more time. Then just to get like all that, cuts and stuff out. Do like a color overlay. That looks kind of human-y, I guess. And we're gonna mix all of those together. You want him to have like a bit of detail, but not so much to where like he doesn't look human. And then you can change the opacity on these. Probably add a bit more right here. Alright, that's fine. So that's basically the final color that you want for him. Now we can actually start drawing. What I'm doing right now, it's erasing. I want to make sure it's on 100 opacity. I'm gonna stop this music because it's already starting to lag. So yeah, just want to follow your basic outline, and this outline, like, you could do it really quickly in Photoshop. It doesn't have to be detailed or whatever. It's just a guideline so you can see what you're drawing. Alright, so basically you want to turn down the opacity just so you can start drawing. And what we're gonna do now is just use these two tools, the burn and dodge. Dodge makes it lighter and burn makes it darker. So that's gonna add in your shadows and your shading and whatever, all of that stuff. And you want to have it like maybe like a feathered brush, exposure really low, just to map out the basic shadows. Now you can come in here. Let's say the light is coming from this angle, so most of your shadows are going to be over here. This is where the cool part starts. Just letting y'all know I'm using a mouse, not a pad, which probably would have been better. But you can do the same thing with a mouse, sort of. So I'm just drawing in the nose. You can kind of see it. Time to add some detail. All you're doing right now, it's just changing the size. You might want to go back in a little bit and change the opacity, make it darker or lighter, see where you need it to be. Just letting y'all know this is not going to be a realistic looking human. It's more cartoony based. Not really cartoony based, but like, or yeah, I guess you could call it cartoony based. this is pretty much all you're doing, just adding shadows and details. And what you want to end up with is probably something like this, you know. It's done the same way, same texture, same drawing, same everything. We'll get to that, or I'll show you like how to make a complete finished drawing like at the end of the video or towards the end. But yeah, right now we're just basically mapping in all the shadows, and then go to the dodge. You know, you probably want to highlight, not that strong. Go back to the image if you need to. You know, that's, I think, a bit too strong, so added more shadows. Alright, so this process is probably going to take a while, and it's going to take up all my video time, and it's probably going to be really boring, so I'm just going to pause it and I'll get done with that part and then resume and continue the little tutorial thingy. Alright, so after like just a while of drawing, you come up with this nose. No, you add lighting. Like I said, the light is coming from the left, so you want to add like probably a shine, and since there's a shine here, most likely there would be like a contrast right here, like a shadow, and you can always go back and refine them, just make sure it looks correct. Right, so now we want to work on the eyes. I'm only going to do one eye, and then probably do the other one later in the video, just because it's probably going to take a while. But which eye should we do? I guess we could do this one. Alright, so you want to do it just the same way. Well, this is like a super easy way. Like if you were actually wanting to do something more realistic, you probably wouldn't do it this way, or you could, I guess, but most likely you would actually want to use like a tablet or something, just because it's so much easier to do shadows. But if you don't have a tablet, you just have a mouse like me. Well, actually I do have a tablet, but I don't really use it. Yeah, you could just do it with the mouse, simple dodge and burns. All you're doing is pretty much just adding shadows. It's not the best way to do it, but gets the job done. All you need is Photoshop. So you're just changing the opacity. It's gonna have eyelashes. Yes, even guys have eyelashes. Oh, he's an old man if I didn't say that before. So, what I just did there was switch to the dodge, which technically you don't even have to do that. You could just go to the burn, and then I think it's, what is it, Alt, and it does the opposite of burn, so it'll be a dodge. Same thing with the dodge tool. Like if you use Alt, it'll do the opposite and it'll become burn. But the thing about that is you still need to go back and change the opacity, and with the dodge tool like it saves your previous brush, and if you just do the opposite, it's the same brush as the thing you're using now, so probably won't be the type of brush that you wanted, or the size, or the opacity. So yeah, just be careful of that. Just changing the opacity. Like I said, this is not going to be a realistic human. I still want him to have realistic traits, like, you know, the shadows, probably like the eyelashes and the highlights and stuff. Like, I still want him to have that, but not really, like, you know, the proper dimensions of a person. Gonna be kind of mad, so I want to add some shadows right here just to give him that mad view. You can always zoom in and zoom out. And in case you're wondering, I'm literally just using one layer right now. All these layers are other cutscenes that I've done, and yeah, this is gonna be like a cutscene sort of thing, you know. He's gonna be talking right here. Yeah, but a little like animation thing, and then right here he's gonna like make a fist. So yeah, and then right here I'm not gonna draw his eyeballs or his pupils, because in this cutscene I actually want him to look a different direction. Actually, yeah, I could draw his pupils just because for the sake of this like tutorial thingy, he'd look weird without pupils. I could just draw him back later. But yeah, you know, just pretty much same old thing, just burn, dodge. I'm gonna pause it again, or should I? I don't know. Yeah, I'll pause it, you know, get most of the detail out, and then come back and actually like add color. Alright, so you know, I pretty much mapped out all the shadows and stuff. Came in and added some wrinkle lines, etc., etc. You know, just to make him look like he's older, but he still obviously doesn't look human. The color's not correct. He obviously has no eyes, or facial hair, or eyebrows, or anything. So, that's what we're about to add right now. What would be a good way? There's always like different ways to do stuff in Photoshop, which is why I love Photoshop, because like I said, there's always different ways to do stuff. That's too much. You can Control Z just to erase stuff. Just letting y'all know. If you ever mess up like this, you can just go back with the clone tool and replace it with the part that's not been shadowed. Or you could just highlight it again like that. Alright. So we're gonna duplicate this. You don't even have to do this. Change the hue and saturation. We're gonna make his eyeballs like a gray color. So now that you have that, you just erase that layer except the eyeballs. That's what's gonna stay inside. And you're gonna do this process for pretty much most of the skin texturing, because normally people's skin are not like that. They're just not one color with reds surprisingly, if you actually look at your skin, you can probably see like yellows and greens, purples. And you're like, what? People are not purple. Like, if you actually look pretty closely, you can see, especially like if you look at your veins and stuff. Alright. I think that looks okay. How do I have him working? Okay. So, he looks really weird right now, just saying. Now that you have that, just burn, dodge. Thing about eyeballs is that people usually draw eyeballs white. They're not white. The shine is white, but not the actual eyeball. So whenever people do make them white, they just look really weird. Alright, so we're gonna add a new layer. You can do it on the same layer, but I'm just gonna do it on a different layer because I'm actually gonna have this animated, and it'd be a lot easier. So you go in, change the brush size with the right click, or you could just change it up here. Change it to not a feathered one. And what size do I want his eyeballs? Does that look okay? No, that's too small. Maybe that's too big. You know, you just go in and kind of guess. Alright, that's fine. So, change the opacity to 100. Looks kind of weird. Just gonna lower them a bit. There we go. Then you go in here and change the opacity. And you're gonna erase what's on the outside. Like literally, I think you're just using like a few tools on this, like the burn, dodge, erase, you know, opacity settings. Like you don't need to know a bunch of Photoshop stuff to do stuff like this. It's pretty easy. Alright. So what you want to do now is go in, add some burn effects. What I like to do is make the outsides dark and then go back in and make the inside dark. I think it's the pupil that you're making right now. Add a bit of shadow from the eyelid. What is this? I don't care about update. Alright. You know, his eye pupils are going to be dilated. And then just change the opacity, go back in, and add a bit of like texture, you know. Because obviously there's veins in there and stuff. Well, not veins, but like, I don't know what it is. But if you look at the eyeball through a microscope, like you can see these like ridges and stuff. Alright, now that you have that, he still looks really, really weird. You're gonna dodge. Change it to a higher setting. Most of the time right here on the eyeballs, they're really wet. So it's gonna have like a different kind of dodge and highlights. I mean, dodge and burn. You want to make it like more sharp, just because like it's wet and you're getting the wetness look. If it's more blurry like this, you know, it doesn't come across very well. Alright, now you can go back in with the blur tool. I mean, not the blur, you know, with the feathered brush. You can probably erase this just so it looks more like not as refined. Alright. And if it looks too blue, you can just change the opacity right here. There we go. Or you could just change the hue and saturation, which I think I'm probably gonna do anyways. Alright, so duplicate layer, hue and saturation. Let's make it like a green color. His eyes are not gonna be green. I'm just gonna do that just so there's a difference in blue. So it's not like just straight blue, you know, because most of the time the eyes are not different colors, but like they're made up of different colors. Alright, that looks better. Okay, so since this is on a different layer, you can just do that. We're gonna come back in on the eyeballs and change it. You know, just adding am I even working on this? Yeah, okay. Just change the shadows and stuff. There we go. Most of the time, eyes, or 100% of the time, eyes are round. So if he's looking in this direction, you kind of want to make it look like the eyeball is round. So just add shadows. Most of the time, kind of like this, where there's a highlight right here, a shadow in the middle, and then a neutral color right here. Eyes are like usually pretty tricky though, because if you have really good looking eyes on even like a fake character, they still look pretty like realistic, you know. But if you have like fake eyes on a fake character or fake eyes on a real looking character, they just look fake. That's how it's looking so far. Not too bad. So I think these are like too sharp. So you want to take the blur tool, which is this water droplet. Just blur around the edges. Maybe drop the opacity just a little. I'll just make small. Normally, kind of don't want to do that, especially if you know you're gonna go back and change it, which I am for the animation. But it's okay, I guess. I can fix it. You just add a, like there's usually shadows on your eyeballs just because they're more set in the way your skull is. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just adding that change in depth on a human's face. Wonder how much time I have left. I don't know. I didn't even notice. Alright. So, obviously a person's face is not one color. Even though this has shadows and lighting, it still looks pretty much one color. So what we're gonna do is change that. Go to duplicate, hue and saturation. You can add, I don't know, more reds. Change that. Where would you want more reds? Maybe like on the cheeks, on the edge of the nose. And a cool thing to do is always like check these. They are your layer settings or whatever. I don't know what they're called exactly. You can see what cool effects you can do. You know, sometimes this is helpful. Like right here, you can see a subtle red. You can always just see that. You know, with the eye, check what it's actually doing. So the screen looked really good. I might go back and use that. Overlay also looks pretty good. Hard light. You could just change the opacity settings, see what it's doing. I like that, and I like screen, so we're probably gonna do both of those. And then just come back and merge layer. Gonna do the same thing except different color. Maybe like a green. Where do people usually have green? I don't know. Not really on the cheeks. More on the face. So I guess probably on the sides. Then you just change the opacity. I'm gonna do that one more time with maybe like a purpley color, like a dark purple. And we'll just put that as like the far back shadows. Nothing too big. What else? I mean, he looks pretty good so far. Actually, maybe I want that just a little bit less. There we go. Alright, what else? Just adding a bit more highlights, a bit more finesse. It's always like a step in progress thing. You know, if something doesn't look right, you can always go back and change it. Especially in Photoshop. Well, in this concept that I had, he has facial hair. So we're gonna do that. Come back with the white, the brush tool, not the dodge and paint. I mean the dodge and burn. That's too much. How do I want to do this? Drop the opacity. And like I said, there's always multiple ways of doing something in Photoshop. Always. That's too big. There we go. This is basically all you're doing. Just paintbrush. And if you're wondering, you know, how come something looks like really thick, you know, I don't want that there. Like let's say, you know, you do this, and it doesn't matter. Because you're gonna go back in and change the edges with erasing it with opacity, or not opacity, what is it? Feathered brush. Probably gonna have a little bit of eyebrows, not too much though. No, there's not really a specific way to do eyebrows. Well, actually, yeah, there is, but for the sake of this, you know, guy right here, you just want to start it right here, make it go up, and then just have it curve to the side, and then at the end have like a few, and you always want to have like a few random hair strands. Alright, that doesn't look too bad. So what you could do now is double click on it. This is the easy way. There's always another way. This probably isn't even gonna work. You could do a drop shadow, make it where the light is coming from, change the opacity, just a little bit though, not too much. Like a 3. Yeah, that's fine. I don't really like that it shows this, so I just make a new layer and then combine it. It's pretty much the same thing, just I personally don't like it. So we're gonna come back in with a duplicate layer, change the brightness. It's gonna be like a really dark color. Is it? Yeah, that didn't do anything. Okay. So if that doesn't work, you go to select color and whites. You can change the whites, or you can make it a black. So we want it a black color. And then you come back in and erase. You know, just so there's that different contrast in hair. Because you don't want all hair to be the same color. Especially under the nose where there's going to be shadows. Change the opacity, see what looks nice. And what else? Okay, come back here. Contrast. Since the hair is on a different layer, you can contrast this. I mean, you can burn this, and it'll show the shadows underneath the hair. Back in, add more shadows where you feel it needs to have more shadows. We're gonna put a light right here, so you have these on different layers. You can just grab the paintbrush. I want to make it like a yellowy light. add a new layer with a feathered brush. Just come in here, do that, change the opacity. You always want it on a new layer, that way you can change the opacity. You know, add that guy in there. See where it's going. Change the layer properties. You know, maybe you want it like not so yellowy. That's a good one. Pin light. Alright. You just add that, and then on top of this new layer, or on top of the old guy layer, you kind of want to do the same thing. What was I using? Pin light. Alright. Change the opacity. And if you don't like that yellow, you can always change it. Let's try like a reddish orange. Just see what looks nice. Change the opacity. You can come in here with a blue. You know, obviously this is going to be the shadows. Always want it on a different layer. So I think darken look the best. Change the opacity. And then you can, since it's there we go. Now that it's all on one layer, you can come in and darken this up. I usually like to work in one layer. There are a lot of people that don't like to do that because they can change what they need to change. I'd advise not to work in one layer, but that's just how I work. Back in with the red, and then change it to maybe like a screen. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm just gonna pause it real quick, just to add some final touches, and then I'll show you the last picture. Alright, so here's the final. I went in and added more shadows, liver spots, just to show that he's old. I put in a light right here on the left side of his face, you know, just to show that the light's being bounced, and at the end I put in a blur. So yeah, I mean, it's not hard, it's pretty simple. It's not going to give you realistic results, but it'll get you pretty close, you know, if you just put in more time. And yeah, hopefully you like the tutorial. If you have any questions, just let me know and I can always help y'all out. And if y'all have any ideas or suggestions or whatever, just let me know and I'll try to help y'all out with that. Yeah.